Hey there guys, my name is Katie and I've got a super cute project for y'all to try out that I've been working on. These are air freshies. I see them absolutely everywhere nowadays because they're so colorful, sparkly, and easy to make. With so many fragrances and shapes to choose from, the customization options are endless. Keep watching to see how to make them. Okay, so for this project, you're gonna need Aroma beads. These are little plastic beads that can absorb oil. You can find them all over the internet at varying price points. Just make sure you're getting Aroma beads and not water gel beads, which cannot absorb oil. Before we make the freshies, I have to soak them in my fragrance oil. To send the beads, you'll want a large sealable container. You can use a juice jug, mason jar, or covered bowls. Just make sure the container is sealable and safe to come in contact with fragrances. I've added my beads into my bowl and I'm going to follow up by adding our Georgia Peach fragrance. Okay, so now I'm just going to pop my lid on. To make sure the scent is evenly distributed, I'm going to give it a good shake. Now I need to wait. Georgia Peach is relatively light, so I found it only takes about 24 to 48 hours for it to fully absorb, but this will change if you're using a different fragrance oil. The darker and thicker the oil you use, the longer it will take to absorb. Now let's set the bowl somewhere you can shake it up every now and then. Here's some beads that I soaked the other day so they're all dry and ready to go. Now we need to color them. I've got a peach color here to match my fragrance. I think 1 tablespoon per pound of beads is just about perfect, but you can use less if you want a more pastel color. Be careful to not add too much though. You want just enough mica powder for the beads to be fully covered with it, but not have a bunch extra floating around in there. Okay, so now I have the main peach color done. Now I want to separate some beads out so I can mix up a couple more colors. I want to make my peaches look realistic with shades of pink and yellow. I added a pinch of each mica color to the separated beads and I'm going to stir them up until they're evenly mixed. Alright, now I'm ready to make the freshies. You'll need an oven for this next step. I like to use my handy dandy little toaster oven, which I dedicate for my DIY projects. These are cheap and portable, so you can easily place one anywhere on your workstation. To shape the freshies, I'm going to bake them in the toaster oven so they melt together and form one uniform shape. I found that 350 degrees Fahrenheit is the perfect temperature to bake them at. It's just hot enough to melt them without burning off their fragrance oil. While the oven is preheating, I'm going to prep the beads. To shape them, you can use cookie cutters or heat-safe silicone molds. Not all silicone is safe to put in the oven, so if you do use silicone molds, make sure they can be put in the oven like these. To allow me to hang these freshies from the rearview mirror of my car, I'm going to be placing the roofing nails at the top of these molds. Roofing nails work best for this because they have a larger, flatter surface to keep them in place while baking the beads. Now I'm going to scoop out the beads into the silicone molds. While I'm scooping out these beads, I'm going to want to make sure that they are even and flat. I'm using a small utensil to be able to place these beads into the silicone molds. I like to make my freshies about 1 inch thick. Any more and they'll take too long to bake. If you're using cookie cutters with different shapes, choose one that are about the same size so they all melt evenly. Now that my oven is preheated, I'm going to carefully place the molds in. Close up the oven and wait for the beads to melt. Depending on the size and thickness of the mold, it can take up to 10 minutes for everything to fully melt. Every oven is different, so try to check on the beads often. You don't want them to overcook or undercook. Use a spoon to tap on the surface of the beads to see if they're melted together. If the beads are still moving, then they're not ready. They are not moving, so they're ready to go. These are so pretty. They turned out perfectly. I'm going to let them cool for a little bit before we gently wiggle them out of the molds. It only takes a few minutes. Now let's unmold them. Now let's just pull the nails out. If you want to, you can cut off the rough edges like I'm going to. To finish off the freshies, I'm going to be tying some hemp cords to the holes made by the nails so I can hang them in my car. If you're having trouble getting the cord through, you can always use one of your roofing nails to help push it through. Once tying my string, I'm going to trim the excess. You can also hot glue some fake leaves onto your freshies to make them look like real peaches. Hey, I hope you guys are enjoying this video. We noticed that over half you guys aren't subscribed. What's up with that? Make sure you go down below and subscribe and hit that like button because it's a great way to support us. Now, let's get back to our peaches. And there you have it. I love how my air freshies turned out and I can't wait to hang these in my car. These are really so easy to make and the scent options are endless. They're a really easy way to add something fun and different to your product line. Each of my air freshies are about 1 ounce in weight. The way you price your freshies depends on the fragrance and size you choose to make them with. In my case, I'd sell each of mine at wholesale price of $2 to $3 and retail for $5 to $8. Your price points will vary based on where you bought your beads, the fragrance you use, and how much customization you add. Don't forget to factor in the amount of time and labor you put into them when choosing how to price them individually. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed following along with me for this project. If you'd like to make some of these yourself, we'd love to see your creations. Tag us on any of our socials linked down below to show off your work. Like this video if you haven't already to support what we do here in the lab, and I'll see you guys again soon in the next project. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!